Good morning, gentlemen. Welcome to Good Morning Brownsville. It is Tuesday, October 14th, 9:33 a.m. My name is Frankie. This is Roman. Good morning, Roman.
Good morning.
How's your day going so far?
Great. Peace, peace. Everything's peaceful. Peace.
That's
Great.
I'm glad you started off on a peaceful note. What are your takes in regards to what has been transpiring on the other side of the world, with President Trump uniting different countries and promoting peace? What's your take on it?
Um, I I think it means it's the end of the Western European governments of the world, in terms of their liberalness and how inept they are and how useless and feckless they are. Because I think it's pretty clear that Trump doesn't need them, and doesn't want to deal with them. And and I'm talking about, when it comes to foreign policy anyway, when it comes to France and Britain and Canada and all those liberal countries that for whatever reason they just showed up yesterday. They did nothing essentially, and they arrived yesterday. So I think that's what it signals to me anyway.
There was a lot of talks of President Trump and his cabinet trying to push for him to receive the Nobel Peace Prize.
Hmm.
Maybe if this was done beforehand, maybe he would have been heavily considered. But it's been interesting nonetheless to see this play out. Many people have been very critical of President Trump. Uh, you're making an interesting point in regards to what he has been doing in the Middle East. There is no question that he does have a great rapport with leaders in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East, and this has, they've given him a plane. Now we're hearing that in Idaho they're going to start creating this training facility that Qataris are going to be able to use. Um, you mentioned something that I hadn't thought of, that President Trump now essentially is saying that America is in control of global affairs. How do you think that he will be remembered?
I don't know. I mean, history is kind of weird because the historians tend to be leftists and they try to paint conservative presidents in a bad light, and they manipulate history in that way. I mean, it's no different than what's happened with historians now who tarnish the legacy of Christopher Columbus, 500 years ago. They don't care. They're going to continue to preach that stuff. I mean, I am a historian. I am somebody who studied history and would have gotten my PhD and had certain little things not happen, but big things I should say, and and I would have been in a university that was predominantly um, a leftist, but it doesn't mean that I would not become a conservative historian. I still would have gone and searched for the truth, but I don't think that historians right now are that way, and they will do anything they can to paint us conservatives in a bad light. Whether whether it's Trump, whether it's Reagan, whether it's even Teddy Roosevelt to a certain extent. I mean, he was a more of a progressive president, but he did have, you know. Oh, now I'm thinking about it. Theodore Roosevelt won the Nobel Peace Prize. 100 and what now, 119 years ago. And there's a lot to say, that a lot of coin lot of not coincidence, but a lot of similarity between Teddy Roosevelt, and Donald Trump. They're both from New York. They're both very loud. They're both obnoxious in many respects, and both of them were very interested in peace. You wouldn't necessarily label Trump as a conservative. He's more of a populist, but TR was a progressive, um, center left, maybe kind of a president. But he did carry around a big stick. He was very, very loud, whether it was, in Latin America or whether it's making peace in Asia. or whatnot. So I think there's a lot similar. I wonder if there are people who will do books comparing the two presidencies. That would be an interesting dissertation, I guess. Um, but yeah, they'll change the word. I mean, I'm just having a disagreement on my personal page about Christopher Columbus. Yesterday was Christopher Columbus Day, and they want to say that he's now a Spanish Jew. And it's like, no, he's an Italian. He was born in Genoa. Like, that's where he's from. He's an Italian. Everyone knows this. No, no, no. We've been able to do DNA research and do all kinds of stuff to figure out that he was really a Spanish. And it's like sometimes the truths are staring you right in the face. They're there. They're very recent. Focus in on that. I could make an argument that the same thing happened with the Protestant Reformation. The Protestant, they think it's 1,500 years after the Bible, you know, was well, not the Bible, but the 1,500 years after the birth of Christ, the death of Christ, that they somehow know better than the people that were saints in the first century. But what it is, what it is.
One thing that has been apparent during President Trump's presidency is that he has managed to keep America out of war. Is this something that he will be remembered compared to other presidents? Shortly after 9/11, I was 18 years old, 15 years old. And that's when I first started, you know, seeing myself as patriotic. Who can forget those 2 weeks after September the 11th? Um, we all felt a sense of duty, of pride, of, you know, I'm proud to be an American, and it hurts to see what our country is going through. And shortly thereafter, the whole Iraq war, everyone saw President Bush son in a good light. Now the longer we've gone from September 11th and these weapons of mass destruction, everyone's kind of questioning the motives behind Iraqi freedom. We think of democracy, we think of spreading democracy, but others argue that, hey, it was for territory, was for oil, was for land, it was for richness. And that is the way, I guess, the American ideology is. But is it something to be said, Roman, that President Trump, again, he's a very polarizing character, very polarizing. You either hate him or you like the guy. There's no in between. Even yesterday, when the American government stepped in and brought these hostages from Israel, from both sides of the aisle, and promote peace, he was still not given the credit that I think he would deserve. Will history remember him as a good president? And the reason why I asked that is because he didn't get it. He hasn't gotten us into war. He has managed to have a good relationship. Many people are arguing with the terrorists themselves. But how will he be remembered compared to Bush, compared to his recent predecessors, Roman?
I think it's going to be, you want to go to he'll still be remembered as the worst president by leftists and people that will
Uh-huh.
answer questions. I think it won't matter. I mean, it's no different than what happened with Bush when he became, when he left the White House, he was a very unpopular president. Whether it was Katrina, whether it was weapons of mass destruction, whether it was the war in Iraq, or whether it was his failure to have immigration reform and whatnot. He was remembered as a very horrible, mean, nasty, Hitlerish type president. Now you have leftists who seem to like him and fondly remember him and think he was not a bad guy. Why? Because he doesn't go to Republican National Convention because he's not even well liked amongst Republicans now. Um, and leftists seem to like him. I mean, he gets along great with Clinton and Obama. He hangs out with Michelle. He gives her candy. You know, he but that's who he was. I still like President Bush. George W. I still fondly remember him because I am a Republican, and I'm not gonna just allow the left to co-opt him. He was our president, regardless. So I think that's what's going to happen with President Trump. And I think the other thing is, um, W was a lot younger than Trump. when he was president, and look how old President Trump is right now. He may not have a long time just because he's an old man. To be able to repair whatever relationships he had with people, the left. I mean, just remember, Trump was very well liked, very well respected prior to becoming president. I
Hmm.
mean, he was on SNL. Have you seen that chicken, wing clip on SNL where he's selling Donald Trump's House of Chicken or House of Wings, and he's doing the song, and there's a cluck cluck, and everybody thinks it's funny. He laughs, and people loved him, adored him. He was on The Apprentice, but they should be going president. Wow, we don't like him. So will he revert back to that where leftists seem to like him because he's a jovial guy? Like to have a beer with him. I don't know. I mean, I will he go off and not be, like look at George W. You hardly ever see the guy. Every time I see him, he just looks older and older, which is because you don't see him that often. You might see him at a Cowboy game, you might see him at a Rangers game, you might see him that during September 11th when people are remembering what happened then. But he, for the most part, he's kind of quiet, you know. But yeah, I don't know how people will remember him. I think the right will remember him as very favorable. The left will not. Just the thought of just thinking about him, they'll freak out. I mean, look what happened yesterday. You had Christian Amanpour out there saying that the Jewish hostages that the Hamas had were somehow treated better than the Gazans, I guess. And what did she say in by Israel? And these guys don't look that they were treated well. This man looks like he could have been in the Holocaust in Nazi Germany in an
Hmm.
encampment in a concentration camp. That's how thin this man was. But and then this lady had to apologize afterwards. But was it really an apology? It was a half-assed apology, and that's who controls the narrative in many respects. It's the left. It's people like her who are well respected by international community and media, and oh, she's wonderful. And but I mean, I'll give her this. At least she gave a half-ass apology the same day and didn't wait around after she realized, like, oh crap, oh snap.
Yeah, I find it very interesting, Roman, because I think it's a beautiful thing. I think it's a beautiful thing. Yesterday, we did share a video that I would like to play momentarily. But one thing that I did want to play, and I don't know if this is exaggeration or what, but let's take a listen.
Is out. Yes, it's him. He got me out. He got the hostages out. Um, Before we felt like nothing is happening, you know. And I remember there, for me, there, ever since he came into the road, they were very scared of him. Yeah, they wanted
Who
terrorists.
were afraid of Trump?
Yeah, they wanted Kamala to be chosen, to be
You
elected.
talked politics with them?
Yeah. They wanted Kamala to be elected. Um, but as soon as Donald Trump was elected, they understood that he wants to bring the hostages back home. Yeah. Um, so immediately the way they treated me changed. So if it's the amount of food, I could say this, that when Trump became president, yeah, the the way they treated us changed. For me, personally, this is what
I
I
think
felt.
because they anticipated that a deal would come soon.
Yeah,
And that's when they started giving you more food.
exactly. More food, treated me better. Stopped cursing me, stopped spitting on me.
They
Yeah.
were spitting and cursing.
Yeah.
Were they beating you?
No, never. I was never, except the 7th of October, I was never abused physically. But I think it's because
Does is that impactful, Roman? Does that say something about being a strong leader that a former hostage revealed that Hamas was scared of President Trump and they wanted Kamala to be elected? Is does that carry any weight?
It should. I mean, it should explain, the mindset of even the terrorists that they didn't want, Trump. They're scared of Trump. They're terrified of him. They don't know whether he's going to bomb them or not. Going to go send military in there, or he's just going to take the side of the Jews in Israel. They don't know. They're freaking out, and I don't blame them. I would be freaked out too if I were a bunch of crazy people that went up and attacked Israel. I think President Trump has a real big soft spot for Israel in large part because he has. I think so, I don't know why. Somebody said the same thing, but it's no different than what I would have said. He has Jewish grandkids. His daughter's a Jew now, married into a Jew. Jared Kushner. He has a soft spot for the Israeli cause, and I think it's important to note that. And I have no doubt that Hamas knows that. The terrorists know that. I mean, he, have you ever seen the Shane Gillis
The
comedy
comedian?
special on Netflix? Beautiful Dog. You ever seen that clip where he talks about and he jokes about how Trump saw the dog getting, going in there, the beautiful dog, goes after the what the I can't I don't want to ruin the joke, so I'm not going to. But I mean, the way he described it, he like he talks in great detail about these terrorists being murdered and killed, and he has no problems with it. He's like, whatever. And I think that scares their mindset. Like he's okay with killing us. He has no problems doing that. Look what he's doing with narco terrorists right now off of Venezuela. And you're like, we're gonna shoot some bombs at these guys and shoot them and laugh at them, and we're gonna unclassify them. We're gonna taunt them, and that's why they don't know. Like this is not a president that you want to mess with. Where we're going to celebrate the fact that a boat just got exploded and yeah, look at that guy. And Republican like, yeah, let's laugh at them. Let's ridicule them because the right can laugh if we wanted to. And we do. The left, the left can't meme. Liberals can't meme. So I think that plays a big role in how these terrorists thought. I mean, they probably thought, well, with Kamala, we're going to get the more of the same with Joe Biden. They're going to take our side. They're going to, deal with us. They're going to give us whatever we want. Because for whatever reason, I guess they think that the Democrats in charge don't really care about Israel, and they know that Trump does. So, yeah.
Yeah, I find it fascinating, Roman, that this has been, and this is an issue that possibly will never ever resolve itself. Maybe this is just a temporary fix. As we know, the issue between the Jews and the territory for Palestine has been a war that has plagued that area for thousands and thousands of years. But seeing videos such as we have on the screen, where loved ones are reunited with their children, it's very impactful. It's impressive to see how other countries, other world leaders, thanked President Trump at the world stage and said, "Hey, if it wasn't because of this man, this agreement wouldn't have happened." It is promising. We hope that places such as Gaza, um, places such as the Middle East, and in all parts of the world, that there is peace. Um, what President Trump has been criticized for, um, has been that what you just mentioned, how he is, pro-Israel. Many people have argued, well, there's so many PACs out there that Israel pretty much controls the American government. What's your take, Roman, in regards to what are your thoughts in regards to us working with Qatar in building the training facility in Idaho? Many people are arguing, how are we opening up the doors and training the terrorists that we claim to be against?
I mean, I don't know enough about what we're doing with Qatar in Idaho. Some of the people out there are claiming that we're building a military base, under their control in our soil. And I don't think that's what's really happening. But we have had, training facilities in the United States for foreign countries, to learn how to, become better military men. I mean, I remember in college learning about the School of the Americas, where we had people in the American South training on in our military bases, learning, supposedly learning how to become mean military people to take over Latin America. So we have had a history of other militaries coming here and being allies and learning, about military ways of life and strategy and weaponry, how to use it and whatnot. So I don't know enough about what's happening with this particular military base, but if it's anything like what's happened in the past, there's nothing really to fear. Now, I don't want foreign control of our land. I mean, we have Chinese people buying up land, near our bases. We don't want that. We need to make sure that doesn't happen, and to get rid of that, we need to take back that property because they're spying on us. China is the enemy. I don't care what anybody says. They are our enemy.
Great take, Roman. In regards to uh, um, again, great take on what's happening in the Middle East. President Trump and his administration should be applauded for them being orchestrating this negotiations that has plagued the area for far too long. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to get into the topic for today. We titled our program "Know Before You Vote." It's very important for you to understand what will be on the ballot. And political parties, Roman, in my opinion, they do have a critical role in ensuring that the constituents, the voters, are very well informed about important in this upcoming election propositions that will be on the ballot. Now, besides promoting candidates, parties should actively engage with the community through educational campaigns, town hall meetings, and also provide accessible resources that explain each proposition and how it could impact our lives. When parties help clarify these complex issues, they empower citizens to help them make better informed decisions. They strengthen the democratic participation process, and also they build a public trust in
Mhm.
the political process. The reason, Roman, why I wanted to talk about this today was because I'm not seeing this in Brownsville. Maybe you could correct me, Roman, but I found something interesting that is happening in Hidalgo County. This flyer is from the Hidalgo County Republican Party, and they titled their poster, their feed, "Know Before You Vote Proposition Discussion Night" will take place this Thursday in McAllen. Roman, is there a need, or am I being petty whenever I say that I would like for Deborah Bell, Republican Party of Cameron, Jared Hockema, Democratic Party of Cameron, for them to hold similar events to inform the public? Am I being petty for that?
No, No, I don't think so. At all.
Oh,
I don't
I
know
don't
what's
know
going
what's going
on.
on.
Does it sound weird to you?
You always sound weird, Roman.
No, No,
No,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I mean,
No,
is it
you're
like
good. You're good. No, you're good.
it's let me get back on.
All right.
Because I'm no.
All right, sounds good. Um, Again, the Hidalgo County Republican Party will be hosting this event, and um, the reason why this caught my attention was because look at our platform. What we've been doing, our platform has been focusing on talking about the bond. The city of Brownsville, ladies and gentlemen, has so much at stake in this very election. We are less than 6 days, less than a week away from early voting. Did you know that there is the possibility that your taxes will double in 5 years? That there will be a property tax increase according to the BISD sample ballot? Did you know that? And if you didn't, Why aren't we hearing about this? Look, I, I take great pride in coming before you and letting you know what's coming up. I learned from somebody that was passionate about the city, and he instilled in me understanding the power of information. I always stress the idea that whenever I come before you, I don't want to convince you. That's not my job. I don't want nobody a la fuerza. Like, I don't want nobody by force. I want you to be convinced wholeheartedly, because what difference does it make if I have you? Oh, you're gonna think the way I think, and you're gonna say what I say. And why would I want people like that? Why would I want to surround my people like that? Same thing with you. You don't want nothing to be forced down your throat, right? Um, I always laugh because whenever I go around, let's say Sam's or all these supermarkets, right? They try and pitch their little samples, right? Try and pitch their product. Um, we could talk about life insurance as well. People criticize my profession and say, "Oh, life insurance is just a Ponzi scheme." Well, no, it's not, because when you really need it, when you really need that life insurance, when it matters the most, you're going to be very thankful, and that's what I want people to be more conscientious of. I think there is a lack of information that our city has had for far too long. And look, I'm thankful to have the Juan Montoyas, the Jerry McHale's, the Jim Bartons of the world, and Brownsville Hood News, all these other um, community activists on social media, because we don't have Roman investigative journalism. We don't have the luxury of people at the Herald, at the other major news agencies of doing this type of coverage. And Arturo Trevino yesterday we had Arturo Trevino and Robert Sanchez, local entrepreneurs for the city of Brownsville. If you didn't watch the show, I encourage you to go back and watch it. It was very, very informative. Arturo Trevino, Roman, said something that kind of stuck with me. He said, besides Captain Bob and Good Morning Brown, besides CBS and Good Morning Brownsville, there's nothing really out there that people could plug in and engage and ask questions in regards to what is going on. So that is the reason why I chose to talk about this, Roman, because here we have Hidalgo County that is informing their voters. Hey, this is what's on the ballot. Be informed. Make sure you know what you're walking into, because there is this idea, Roman, that you and I, or I'll speak for myself, that I provide false information. Well, the information that we've been providing is that entity themselves, what they have been providing. We have made the argument that they themselves, Roman, are providing misinformation. What's your take on seeing a flyer like this, Roman, where Hidalgo County will have an educational town hall event for their residents, for their constituents, in regards to items that will be on the ballot?
I think it's a good thing. Um, for some reason, whenever I'm talking, I'm hearing myself talk. You don't hear a double talk at all?
It's like an echo, but like
Yeah.
nothing crazy, nothing like, oh my God, Roman, stop.
Oh no, it's just it should be doing that. It wasn't earlier when I was backstage. It does do it, and now it's doing it right for some reason. Yeah, there should be an echo. I don't think it's my microphone. But anyway, I think it's very important that people have a discussion about the various propositions, and I'm proud of them for doing that. But they're only focused on constitutional amendment. They're not talking about anything else. If we were to do that here in Montgomery County, in Brownsville, we have the constitutional amendments, and have the bond amendment. Is there really an echo? How bad is the echo?
I think it's the voice in your head, Roman.
No, it's seriously that.
I hear it, but it's slight. It's nothing like distortion. Like, it's, I don't know. I think it's
very weird. It's like I can hear myself, and then it's coming back reverting. But it's not doing it when I'm backstage. I'm gonna try one more time and you
Ching!
Sorry about that.
Chinga, Roman. we're gonna go over the what's gonna be on on the ballots, ladies and gentlemen. I was gonna do this on the day of early voting, but again, I want you to be ready. I want you to be very well aware of what's gonna be on the ballot for you to vote on. We have propositions at the state level. So many things that your vote will ultimately change. The most important one, I would say, they're all important. Don't get me wrong, they're all important, but the one that will directly affect the constituents of Brownsville is going to be uh, the BISD bond of over 460, million dollars. I'm looking at the sample ballot, and there's 16 pages. No, why are there so many? This can't be. And this is no, there's 90 pages. Why is there so many? Oh, I guess for the different oh, that's weird. Anyways, I want to show you. I want to show you how what's going to be on the ballot. I hope I don't sound petty, and I know I'm going to be Look, I'm criticized for everything, Shingo. Why is it that this issue, ladies and gentlemen, isn't on everything that you read? Why isn't this issue that everything that you see is on? What bothers me is that we have politicos that are encouraging the constituents to vote yes, that they're supportive of this bond. I find it troubling because I say, are they not aware of the current condition in which we find ourselves in? That there is a serious economic stranglehold, an economic strain on our local constituents, on our people. When you really talk about what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, inflation is through the roof. We haven't gained any professional careers here in a local area that pays us X amount of dollars to be able to withstand that. I find it troubling, Roman, for people to be hearing about the bond on Captain Bob's show, on Craig Grove's show, we're not hearing it from the major news agencies. We're not hearing it from the local parties, because let's be real. How many people from the Republican Party, how many people from the Democratic Party are residents for the city of Brownsville? I would dare say 3/4, half, easy. Aren't they being affected by this? Isn't this an important issue? And I go back to the municipal races for the city. Are they important? 1000%. They're very important. But we saw and we spoke previously how the Republican Party of Cameron County, they spend hundreds of dollars on endorsing Democrats, which to me is a black eye. Okay, I get it. Why aren't they involved in this?
That's a very good question. I remember how I told you that I was having a discussion with Deborah Bell, and I encouraged her to do a bond, a bond resolution where they opposed the bond, and we talked about it. But towards the end of the conversation, when she started getting angry with me, she says, I don't want to unite with you. I don't want to work with you. I don't want to talk about this. And she even said something about, the bond is really Susan thing. It's not my thing, and I couldn't help but wonder if the reason that she wasn't interested in the bond was because she doesn't live in BISD and she doesn't care about BISD for that reason. And maybe that's her problem, that maybe that's her issue, and why we don't see her getting involved as much with the bond. And I mean, Susan, but Susan, like myself, is not part of the party. Susan is doing her own thing, and I'm glad that she's doing it, but informing the public. But yet she's getting into fights on social media with the unions, and then they get mad at her, and I guess they mute her, they block her. I don't know what they're doing to her. and because all she wants to do is present information about the bond. I mean, we have talked about yesterday how we had one of the unions out there was bashing Nelda Rocha, a former candidate for BISD and a retired educator or a retired teacher, and essentially saying, no, you don't know what you're talking about, because they posted up there that, actually your taxes will go down, in other words, mean a tax decrease. That's what these unions are out there preaching. And so I happened on my personal page point that out, and then I had one of the members of another union say, "I don't know where you're getting your information," and called me a liar. The guy's called me a racist. The guy has called me, now he's calling me a liar, and I'm just like, dude, here's the screenshot. Like here's one of the unions doing. Oh, that's your reasoning. That's uh, your proof that people are out there saying that it's a tax decrease when it's not a tax decrease. And I'm just like, look, I'm glad that you're acknowledging that it is in fact a tax increase, but what you won't acknowledge, because you all want to make it seem like it's a small increase of the bond, that a gradual increase of the bond, that is actually doubling your taxes in 5 years. Just that's the facts. Those are the facts. Those are the information provided by BSD. And why does all this matter? Why am I bringing up the unions, and why am I bringing this up? Because there's not enough information out there. Well, I take that back. There's a lot of information from BISD, but they want to overflood your brain and your eyes and everything with all this type of information where you can't navigate what information to look at. And so you don't know how to handle it. I mean, look at that chart, that beautiful chart that you have posted. That chart is meant to confuse you. They say it's not. They say it's about to show you that it's gradually increasing, and they're trying to provide information, but it's meant to confuse you. And that's a problem. And that's why it's imperative that you have people like ourselves and others, in parties or whatever, whether it's Democrats or the Republicans, getting out there and talking about it. But I can tell you this much: if you're going to listen to Democrats, they're going to tell you that this is all Abbott's fault. And they're going to talk, they're going to look. Danielle Lopez Valdez and the superintendent are going to attend a club meeting of one of the clubs for the Democratic Party, and they're going to go out there and they're going to tell you how wonderful this bond is and how we desperately need it. They're not going to tell you vote yes, vote no, but it's going to be a wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more kind of thing, and that's how they're going to represent it. But you don't see the you don't see the Democratic Party doing that, but you see the clubs. Whether it's in Republican side, the same thing. We have had clubs, whether it's the Brownsville Club that meets at noon at the Elks Lodge, whether it's the North Cameron County Republican Club in Harlingen, whether it's the Cameron County Conservatives, whether it's the Cameron County Republican Women clubs. They are talking about the bonds. I mean, not the bonds. They're talking about the constitutional amendments, but they're not talking explicitly about the school bond. Well, except for the Brownsville Republican Club, they did have Minerva Pena come and speak about the bond, and how we got her on record to say she opposed the bond. So I think it's important that the parties somehow get involved, but know that they will sway you one way or the other. You're muted.
I guess I'm sorry. I guess I'm wrong, because I guess the Democratic Party is having an event. This is their version of a educational town hall. And look, even though I am opposed to this initiative, I want these type of events to happen. I want the parties, the R's, the D's, to have these town halls. That way they give opportunities to voters, to constituents, to ask the questions. Now, is misinformation going to be provided? Are they going to try and sway the voter? Well, at least they're doing something about it. At least they're having these meetings where people who are concerned, and look, whether you vote yes or whether you're going to be voting yes or no, the important thing is that you're going to go vote. That's what I want out of all of this. I want people to be engaged. I want people to be involved. Ideally, I wouldn't want this bond to pass, but it's important for parties to have these type of events on Thursday at Perry's. If you have any questions in regards to this bond and you would like your questions answered by the board president, by the superintendent of BISD, I advise you go have a slice of pizza, have a drink on them, and ask them whatever questions you may have. There is no question, Roman, that many people have been very critical of these bonds that BISD Proposition A, Proposition B are on the ballot. And I have stated this previously. I think that it's a hard sell. I don't know how the superintendent could look people in the face, in the community's face, and state that that this is what is in the best interest of the community of the city of Brownsville. There is no question that BISD for the past 10 years that we have followed, there is a steady decline in enrollment. There's even talks of the school district, which was once at close to 50,000 student enrolled. In 5 years, it's going to be at 26 to 28, which is shocking. Roman, are we beginning to see the decline of the district in epic proportions?
Yeah, I think so. I'm echoing again. I have no idea why it's echoing. Unfortunately, I think it's our leadership. It's the ability. I want to mute you so if there's kind of early we're muted. Let's see if it does anything. Are you muted?
I was.
Okay, no, it didn't anything. It sounds like a reverb at this point. Anyway, I just think it's important that people go to these kinds of events and ask questions. Go. This is a club, though. It's not the party. It's not the Democratic Party. It's not the Republican Party. It's a club. And I think one of the leaders of this particular club is also part of the pack.
Yes. That's what I forgot to bring up yesterday. Yesterday when we had Arturo Treviño and Robert Sanchez, that's what I wanted to talk about. Everything went kind of, I need to write down my stuff. I do everything thinking that I'm going to remember everything. That's what I forgot to bring up, Roman. There is this, let me bring it up. There is this PAC that was created that is spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in regards to Proposition A, Proposition B. And this PAC, Roman, you stated that it is the treasurer was one of the members of this the Democrats of Southern Cameron County. Is that what you stated previously? Because here, if I could zoom in, I can't read it, but I forget the name of the PAC that was promoting this bond, and that was the connection that these people. And again, I saw the flyer and I thought that it was the Democratic Party. It's not the actual Democratic Party with Jared Hakama. It's these clubs that are having these town halls. So that's what it is. Do you remember the name of the PAC, Roman?
It is called Building Better Schools in Brownsville PAC.
So this, again, it's kind of it's hard to read, but it's at the very bottom of this flyer that states, take control of BISD, vote yes on Proposition A and B. You previously stated that the treasurer of this PAC is a member of the Texas Southern Democratic Party of Cameron County.
Yes, I believe so. I think she's the secretary, the vice president. Yeah.
Interesting. So these people, and again, these are clubs. But again, at least they're doing something about it. At least they're trying to keep their people informed. Again, their agenda is for this bond to pass. So they're gonna promote nothing but, they're gonna say nothing but great things about the bond. That's what I wanted to bring up in regards to Turi, because I think he had asked about the PAC, and I wanted to make that connection that there is someone within the Democrat. And have you been critical of this, Roman? Are you saying that this is because people say, oh, President Trump, he got rid of the Department of Education. You see, he doesn't care about education. Governor Abbott, school choice. You see, he doesn't care. They're affecting public education. But in reality, when you really think about it, public education has not been able to manage their school districts. Is this a, and I hate to even use this rhetoric or this language, Roman, but is this is this a problem that Democrats themselves have created throughout the years where they have been spending like crazy, thinking that this honeypot is never going to dry up? And then now that you have someone such as the Republicans at the federal and state level that are being fiscally conservative, that they are, controlling the money now, they're being blamed for it. Is that fair to say? Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I apologize to everybody why we're having technical difficulties. I don't know why it goes fine for like 5 minutes and then it goes like cuckoo crazy. Hopefully tomorrow won't do this. But yeah, I think that the Democrats, very much local Democrats, really want this because they want to take control of BISD. They want to make sure that they have high bonds. They want to be able to control where it gets navigated because there's a lot more oversight from the state that we never had before, and I think it's a problem for them. And look, I don't mind. I don't have a problem. I don't have an issue with a political action committee being founded. I don't have a problem with them, voicing their concern and telling people how they feel about this bond. I don't have an absolute problem with it. I mean, I would have a problem with BISD and how they're manipulating their own facts to try to convince you, the voter, to vote a certain way. But I don't have a problem with PACs. I don't mind, free speech. Let them do it. I just, but I think, and they are being out in the open. They're saying their names, which is good. The bottom thing is great. But we don't know every single member of this particular PAC. We just know this one person. And again, I don't have an issue with that person at all. Let them do what they want to do. But if you're going to have the Southern Democrats have a person that is in favor of the PAC, in favor of the bond, do they have anybody on the opposite side saying, no, this is why it's a bad thing? Or do they want them to give their whole presentation and maybe have some people that ask questions, but they're very limited in what they can ask? Are they going to shut them down and play music or something and kick them out if they're asking tough questions about this particular bond? I don't know. But it's their right to have whoever they want. It's their right. They're a private club. Let them whoever have whatever they want. We have our microphones, so long as they work, for us to be able to voice our concerns and ask our questions and tell you, the voters, why we think this bond is a bad thing.
Have you seen previous years where political parties have been more involved? Because many people question the Republican Party getting involved in a nonpartisan municipal race where they were supporting Democrats, which that isn't out of the ordinary, so to speak. But have you previously seen either the Democrat or the Republican Party of Cameron County of them involved in these types of elections on bond in regards to taxes? Have you ever seen this before, or is this not the norm that they just don't get involved in these issues?
I don't think it's people have gotten overtly involved in nonpartisan races prior to this, I guess, now. But maybe it's because you didn't really have the choice. You didn't really have Republicans trying to get nonpartisan, races involved. Endorse or get involved in nonpartisan races. That could be part of the reason why you didn't see it before, because pretty much everybody that ran was either a Democrat or a person that tried to pretend they were Republicans when they were really, Democrats the entire time. I've run for local offices, and I never saw the Republican Party ever endorse me or encourage me or talk to me and help me in any way, shape, or form, even though I was a Republican. Never happened. At any point in time, it didn't matter. But the Democrats sure as hell knew I was a Republican, and they didn't like me, which is why that's why I lost. It wasn't really because I was, offering a better option for people. It's just they want to make sure, hey, he's a Republican. You can't vote for him. How dare he run for city commission as a, when he's an evil, nasty, mean Republican. And this was what, 15 years ago. I think that's why you're seeing it now. I mean, even in the nonpartisan race, when the Republican Party endorsed, and you know what, I'm gonna say something. I got into a fight, not a fight, but a disagreement with one of the Deborah Bell people, and they were trying to tell me that they didn't endorse. The party didn't officially endorse in the Pedro and Nurith race. And the person that was messaging me and telling me was overtly talking about Pedro. They didn't even bring up Nurith, which was like interesting to me, but really, I guess, offended about the Pedro thing. And pointing out that Pedro didn't have the Republican Party logo on his endorsements like he did for other things, like the other unions that were endorsing him, and arguing that, oh, we didn't officially endorse, the party didn't officially endorse. And I'm just like, don't gaslight me. Here's a copy of the text message that was sent out. It literally says the Cameron County Republican Party encouraged you to vote a certain way. And they're like, no, but the party didn't officially endorse. I'm like, you spent money on behalf of a candidate encouraging people to vote for this person. That's an endorsement. No rules were broken, Roman. No rules were ever broken. How dare you say the rules were broken? And I'm just like, because you spent money on behalf of a candidate, not one, but two Democrats, and encouraging people to vote for them. I even had Grok, which is an AI thing, read this text message and tell me whether they're endorsing people to vote. And they did. And Grok did. Grok responded. So this is a text message that was sent out to everybody. The Cameron County Republican Party is encouraging you to vote early and vote for all candidates that will prioritize all Brownsville constituents and not only those of special interest groups. Vote for Nurith and vote for Pedro. Is that not a freaking endorsement? I mean, they spent over $400 sending this text message out. That to me is an endorsement. Any normal person, any rational person reads that, they're going to say that's an endorsement. Now, there's the word Cameron County Republican Party endorses. No, they don't have to say that. They spent money. And so that's why I had Grok ask Grok, hey, is this an endorsement? And Grok responded to me, yes, it is. I think I might have sent you, Frankie, what Grok said to me. And Grok even responded and stuff and started mentioning Deborah Bell. I didn't even ask him anything about Deborah. I literally just asked, hey, is this an endorsement? And Grok said, yeah. And AI is a nonpartisan, non-biased person, not in a person, a non-entity, non-real person. It's AI, artificial intelligence. And they read that and they said the same thing that me and Frankie and other people said. They endorsed. But the only reason I bring this up is because even when you tell them, hey, they got involved, they endorsed, they got involved, they don't, oh, well, we didn't do anything. We didn't do any of that, Roman. We didn't break any rules. Blah, blah, blah. It's just like, well, when they sent this out and encouraged Nurith, the very next day, you got Democrats got a text message from Jared Hakama, the county chair of the Democratic Party. But he didn't send it in his using Democrat money. No, he did it in his personal capacity. And he said, hey, I'm the Cameron County Democratic chair, and I'm encouraging you to vote for Roy. It didn't work because Nurith ultimately won. But he got involved, but he didn't get the party involved. He didn't spend party money doing this. He did it on his own. And that's all I think me and other Republicans have been saying. If Deborah Bell and others like Deborah, I'm going to say Deborah Bell because, she's the one I think was pushing for this. If Deborah Bell wanted to endorse Nurith and wanted to endorse Pedro, do it on your own dime, just like Jared Hakama did. Don't use Republican donor money to encourage people to vote for a Democrat. If you want to tell people to vote for a Democrat, do it on your own dime. And it's no different than what Deborah Bell used to do. Deborah Bell would send out her own sample ballots and tell people vote this way. Before, like, there's nothing wrong with that. I text message people and I ask them to vote, but I don't spend anybody else's money other than my own by sending out the text messages. But I don't, do it mass. I do it on, hey, Frankie, hey, I'm asking you to vote for this person. Hey, Joe Blow, I want you to vote this way. Hey, Juanita, I want you to vote this way. Hey, Maria, I want you to vote this way. This is how I'm voting. And I send out one by one. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's what I want you, the people, to do when it comes to this bond. I want you to, Patricia, you're listening, Mr. Sims person, you're watching it. I want you to send out, post it on your social media between now and the election day. Put on your social media and say, I want you to vote no against this. I want you to vote against this bond. This is a bad bond. Vote no. And then I want you to, from now until election day, send it out to at least 5 different people on your contact list and say, hey, I would like for you to vote no today, or today is election day. This is where you vote. This is where I want you to, go vote at the library, vote early, vote against this bond. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the American way. Do that, because that's the only way we're going to fix this thing. This is the only way because we're going up against money. We're going against billboards. We're going against BISD, billboards on BISD property. We're going up against all these little, speeches that people are making at Rivera and at different schools and talking at parent meetings where you have, they're going 2 by 2, telling people to vote this, not telling people how to vote, informing people and telling them they need to vote, that this is what the bond's going to do. But we all know what they're really doing. We all know what they're really doing. They're telling people it's not a tax increase. We had somebody anonymously come up and say that they said it's not, that we legally have to say it's a tax increase when it's really a tax decrease. But, really it's a decrease. I mean, look at this chart. It's very clear it's a decrease. And they're lying to people. They're misinforming people. And it's wrong. So in order to combat all of that crap, you who are watching right now need to send out individual text messages, make a phone call, talk to your friends. I'm sure you have hundreds of people on your contact list that all live in BISD. Do that. Do that. Because it's not just going to be just me and Frankie out here doing a podcast. It's not going to be Captain Bob and his podcast, because we're combating other people. We're combating Jerry McHale, Jim Barton. Well, Jim Barton hasn't talked about the bond, but I know that Jerry McHale and Juan Montoya, bloggers out there telling people to vote for this bond. That's what they're doing, right? And I know Jerry McHale watches the show because Jerry McHale's over there like talking, Roman was telling people telling Turi he should run for county treasurer. So I know he's watching it, so he's going to try to combat us. We don't have it Osmo anymore, guys. We don't have it Osmo anymore to tell people don't vote for this thing. So it's going to be incumbent on you all to do it. And I'm not trying to repeat myself, because sometimes you have to say these things a few times, because there might be a new person watching right now. It may not be you, Patricia. They're always watching. I'm glad you watch all the time. Make sure you keep watching. But, share the feed. Share what Frankie's posting, because that's the only way we're going to have an alternative way to get our message out. So please do that. Sorry,
what I find very interesting about these past 2 races, the municipal one that we have here on the screen, is that the party did take action in a nonpartisan municipal race. Why? Again, there's no question that these municipal races ultimately affect the everyday lives of citizens for the city of Brownsville. Yes, we could dare say that. And they put their money behind 2 individuals that they thought were the best options. Okay, we'll give them that. But isn't this bond proposition of Part A of Proposition A and B, I would dare say, more important than what those candidates have to offer? No disrespect to them, and we'll give them their props. Commissioner Golonsky, maybe if it was Roy de los Santos, would he have increased property taxes for the citizens of Brownsville when it came to for the city council to vote on? I don't know. Maybe it was Commissioner Golonsky and Gustavo de Leon who made the motion, seconded to not raise the property taxes. What I find it interesting, Roman, is that I don't think it's Deborah Bell. I hate to sound ugly, but I don't think Deborah Bell has the brains to even do this on her own. You had mentioned earlier that, you think it's Deborah Bell that took the initiative to get involved in the city of Brownsville races. No, I would make the argument that it was Susan Rubalcaba. Susan Rubalcaba is very good at trying to make moves, throwing the rock with hiding the hand. She stepped down from being the treasurer for the Cameron County Republican Party once she filed an application to fill Erasmo Castro's seat. She has been criticized by bloggers, by many people, for being a hardcore Republican. Many people have argued that the reason why Susan Rubalcaba stepped down from the party was because she did not want to be associated with the party while her application was being reviewed and for her being considered. That's why I've been very critical of Susan Rubalcaba. Look, is she a great investigator? Does she do? Yeah, sure. But she does not call a spade a spade. I was very critical of her because she endorsed. And look, the Republican Party is in shambles. They did not know all this stuff about Pedrito Cárdenas. Pedrito Cárdenas had so much baggage. He went up against a doctor, a scientist, okay? And they made her look like she was the bad one. And I was like, what? My issue with that was, again, did the party know that Pedrito Cárdenas for the past 12 years has voted blue in every single election? Were they made aware of that? No. If you don't believe me, look at last week's program. We showed you with proof that both Nurit Kalonsky and Pedrito Cárdenas voted D for the past 12 years. That's their prerogative. But the party broke their own rules that they themselves set in regards to endorsing candidates. Okay, we'll give them that. Fine, whatever. They were very critical of the former administration for doing such things and others. And look what they've become. It's come full circle. Okay, we'll give them that. Yes. Okay, we're past that. Why aren't they involved in this race? I will dare make the argument that the party learned from its mistake. Their constituents were critical of them, were asking questions. And again, to the Republican leadership, I hate to say it, but they hate being questioned. They hate even answering for their actions. But again, wasn't there a vetting process? Wasn't there a committee? Was there an application? I would dare say no. I would dare say that this initiative was large in part to Susan Rubalcaba. Deborah Bell does not have the intuitive, the smarts, the brain to do this, in my opinion. Why isn't the party getting involved in this BISD election? Why aren't they just as hard as they were, just as wet as they were for the municipal races, for spending hundreds of dollars from the party's own money of endorsing and encouraging, I'll use a better word, encouraging. Ladies and gentlemen, look at the text message. If the text message would have read, the Cameron County Republican Party is encouraging you to vote early in the Brownsville Commission runoffs, if they would have cut it off there, that's okay with me, because they want the people to be informed that early voting, and these are the dates, these are the times, and this is election day for the runoff. Go and vote, my people. But no, they went a step above that. They said, vote for the candidates that will prioritize, and here are the candidates. You see, they could want to play with words. They could want to gaslight people, but we're not dumb. They may want to think that the Republican precinct chairs are dumb. No disrespect. I'm not saying it. Again, actions, ladies and gentlemen, speak louder than words. That's something that my ex-girlfriends used to say. You tell me you love me, but you don't show me. Same thing with the party. Do as I say, not as I do. That's hypocritical, in my opinion. Again, I may not be a very smart man. I pride myself in having a bachelor's and a master's, but I understand maybe I don't understand things very well. I'm humble enough to realize that, hey, I don't know everything, and maybe I get things wrong. Maybe. I like to think of myself as having somewhat of a brain. But for the party not to get involved in an election, again, on paper, we have what, 180,000 of residents? How many property owners is that? 100,000 property owner residents, maybe? This election will ultimately affect the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, because whether if you own property or if you rent, if this bond passes, your rent is going to go up. Your taxes are going to go up. And that's something that I feel that these parties are not informing. Why? Why aren't they getting more involved? The same juice that they had, the same energy that they brought for the municipal races, they're not bringing it for Brownsville. They're not bringing it to the citizens of Brownsville. And that's where I have an issue with both. Again, I like to call a spade, and I get in trouble for that. Are we seeing this from the Cameron County Republican Party? Are we seeing this from the Cameron County Democrat Party? No, I could be wrong, but I haven't seen it. We have to look at counties such as Hidalgo, that they're doing town halls. They're educating their voters in regards to this. And that, Roman, I have a problem with.
I don't disagree with you. I really don't. In terms of informing people, I think that you should be able to inform voters and you should be active. But one of the things that Deborah had mentioned to me was, oh, I'm really focused on the primary. I had to do 16 hours of training. And like, well, you wanted the job, mijita. And I'm just like, the primary is in March. The filing deadline is until November, like December. Finding precinct chairs, I guess you can't walk and chew gum at the same time. You have to focus on the primary in March of 2026, and you can't focus a little bit of doing a resolution against the bond so people get, we get notoriety about it, and say maybe we get some media attention and say, hey, the Republican parties are against this, and this is why. Because, are they going to spend $400 on a text message telling people to vote against the bond? Are they? I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I asked, but then again, she doesn't want to unite with me. She doesn't want to work with me. She don't want to take my ideas. Whatever. I wonder if are you all precinct chairs that are watching? Because I know some of y'all watch. I know a lot of y'all watch actually. Are you all going to ask? Hey, let's get involved. Let's say something. Let's stop this. Let's speak up. I mean, there's even city commission races happening like in Harlingen. And I know there's at least one Republican that's running for city commission. Her name is Delia Cavazos. Is the Republican Party of Cameron County out there doing text messages on her behalf right now? No, they're not. As far as I know. Are they going to have a special called meeting, an emergency meeting, a Zoom meeting or whatever, a Teams meeting or whatever the hell they do to discuss it, to spend money on her behalf and before early voting like they did for Pedro and Nurith? Do they not care about Harlingen? What about you Harlingen precinct chairs that I know you watch? Are you all not concerned? I'm going to encourage you to tell your friends to go vote for Delia because he's a Republican. I think she's a great person. Vote for her. Have somebody help out Frank Morales, who's the city commissioner, who's also a Republican. Help him out. Stop the wokeness from the crazy mayor you have over there, Norma. I mean, but you don't see the party getting involved in any of that stuff. God forbid they do something like that. No, they only get involved in the Nurith and Pedro race. And it was funny for me because the person who talked to me was telling me only about Pedro. They didn't bring up Nurith. They didn't care about Nurith. Only about Pedro. Why? Why about Pedro? Why? I don't know. But I'm not going to say who it is because it doesn't really matter. I'm not trying to have a fight with this person. I know this person is speaking on somebody else's behalf. I have no doubt. And they're just trying to, scare me or get mad at me. I'm like, look, you all endorsed. Whether you officially endorsed or voted to spend money, you endorsed. You gave money to a third party, not to Pedro, not to Nurith. You gave money to spend money to a third party app, text messaging machine. You spend $400 and over $400, even though you told the precinct chair, oh, we only spent $400. No, you spent more than $400. You know how I know that? Because it's on the text ethics commission thing. And if I wanted to be a complete ass, and I'm not, but let's say I want to be a complete ass, I could argue that the Republican Party of Cameron County screwed up when it comes to the resignation of Susan. Because I believe, well, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know the rules very well, but then again, maybe I do. Who knows? But when somebody resigns as treasurer, and I know she resigned, she told everybody knows it. And this is not a complaint against Susan. It's not. Because really, it doesn't fall on Susan. It falls on the party leadership. She's not. It's Deborah. Deborah is the one that's elected by the county Republicans. She's the one who won. She's the one who wanted the job. The buck stops with her. That's why I complain about Deborah, because she's an elected official, and I can't. But the rules are very, at least the way I understand it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can look it up. Look it up yourself if you don't believe me. But the way I understand it is when a treasurer resigns, you're supposed to notify the text at the commission that this person resigned within 10 days of the resignation happening. Not when you accept the resignation, but after 10 days, within 10 days. And in that same time period, within those 10 days, the PAC is supposed to submit a campaign finance report up until that point. Did the Cameron County Republican Party do that? No, they didn't. They didn't do that. She resigned like in, I don't know when, like in what, March, February? I have no idea when she freaking resigned. I'm going to assume she resigned sometime after February, but I know she resigned because she said it. So they were supposed to submit that to the Ethics Commission, and they didn't. The only thing we have now is the one that they turned in late in August, and she said she was the treasurer when she wasn't. I know she wasn't. But again, it's not her fault. It's the party's fault. I don't expect Susan to know every single rule. I don't. But I expect as a team, as a united Republican Party, they should know the rules. That's what the rule says. They didn't follow it. But then again, it doesn't surprise me because they don't care about the rules. They don't. They only care about the little Mean Girls Club. And I think it's pretty clear that's what you get from your sources within the party, right? That it's about Mean Girls Club, what it boils down to. And if you don't toe the line of Deborah Bell, you're in trouble. You're in problems. I mean, maybe I misheard, maybe I misunderstood, but she was telling everybody, all the precinct chairs, that, oh well, if you don't feel comfortable talking to me, one-on-one, if you have a concern with me, you can always bring somebody with you, and they can be with you. Okay, so two people can go talk to you and have your concerns, but don't go out there and tell people. Don't be leakers. Don't be, we're a team. We're a football team. Don't tell the place to other people. That's what Deborah Bell did. That's what Deborah Bell's done. And but they're more concerned about their little internal party politics when, just like you said, Frankie, we have bigger things like right now, a $460 million thing that's going to tie people down for 30 years on these bonds. It's going to affect a lot of people. It's going to affect the largest voter base in the entire county, with the exception of maybe the city of Brownsville. I think there's more people in the city of Brownsville than are in BISD territory, but still, in terms of school district, the largest school district south of San Antonio with the largest public employees south of San Antonio, and the Republican Party has nothing to say. Nada, zip, zilch. You have a Harlingen that pretends to be one of the bigger Republican cities, and the Republican Party has nothing to say about any of the candidates that are running for office in Harlingen. Not a one. Nothing. Zip. Oh, are they going to try to tell me that Delia is not a Republican? Like Deborah liked to try to say about Frankie that, you should look at Frankie's voter record. He's not really a Republican. He voted in the 2022 and the 2024 presidential election. In the Republican primary. He did. That makes him a weak Republican. Your own data says that. And the reason I know your data says that because I am a Republican. I know about this stuff. When you have somebody who's voted in the two most recent primaries Republican, that makes them automatically a weak Republican. That's the way it works. They're two R's. It's a 2R. That's a Republican. We don't call them a Democrat. We call them a Republican. We call them a weak Republican. But to say that he's a Democrat or he's not a Republican, not a real Republican. Oh my God, give me a break. How are we ever going to have Republicans vote Republican if you're going to be telling people that somebody like Frankie is not a real Republican? But you're going to tell me that Delia Cavazos is not a Republican? She's very Republican. I've known her. You know how I know she's a Republican? Because in 2010 was when I first met her. It was in 2010. And she was helping and supporting Carlos Cascos. Where were you, Deborah? Where are you, Susan? Where were you, any of the little new people that are in the party? Were you with Delia and me helping Carlos Cascos get elected? No, you weren't. Like I was at the Republican women's event that they had, and I remarked to people that only 5 people that I could remember that were in that room, of hundreds of people in that room that were there with Carlos Cascos in 2006. I was one of them. There's a lot of new people in the party. But you're going to probably tell me, oh, they're not a Republican. Help her, support Republicans and nonpartisan races. Just, I mean, if you're willing to help two Democrats like Nurit and Pedro in a runoff in the city election, you should at least want to help somebody that's a Republican like Delia in this election cycle. You've set the precedence, right? Oh, maybe it's because Delia didn't fill out an application. Maybe she couldn't find it on the website. Maybe that's why. She's being helped right now by a lot of Republicans that I know in Harlingen. Good people, good Republicans. And you don't care. Deborah doesn't give a flying rat's butt about growing the Republican Party. She doesn't care about anything else but herself. She might as well be a Democrat. I mean, I'm getting blamed. I'm getting attacked. Frankie, I don't know if you know this, but you and me are getting attacked by a bunch of Republicans out there because we're out there attacking the Republican Party. We don't criticize Democrats. And I guess we're closet Democrats because we don't. No, it's because we want to make sure people understand there's a Republican out there, Republican avenue for you to be able to voice your concern. We're here for you. We want to grow the Republican Party. And yes, we're going to criticize Democrats because the Democrats are the ones that are supporting this bond. The Democrats are the ones that are having, the superintendent and the private school mom and our BISD board president out there talking about the bond and doing all these things. It's them. They're the ones who are trashing Governor Abbott and saying, oh, school choice is bad. We attack them. We criticize them too. But we want you, the Republican Party, to get involved in these races because you all were willing to help Democrats get elected into the city commission. And what has that done for us? What has having Pedro and Nurit on the commission done for us other than the tax thing? What? We're now getting gouged by a recycling tax. What has Pedro and Nurit done to stop the recycling tax? What is Gus, who, read the scoreboard? What has Gus de Leon done to stop the recycling tax? Nothing. Zip, zilch, nada. It's going to effect in January. They've been in office since June? They haven't done squat. Nothing to stop it. So really and truly, all we got was a tax break. Congratulations. We're getting gouged on another version of a tax by having a recycling fee tax of $5 or $6 a month. That's something new, but they're not there standing up for you. They're not standing up for the Republican Party, but yet it's okay. You stand up for Democrats because they're Democrats. That's what they are. At the end of the day, they're Democrats.
I find it interesting that you said that she was more focused on the primary. What do we have Republican chairs that are only 8 to 5, and once they're off the clock, once the big important elections are, they don't get involved? Really? Again, we will call a spade a spade. We have been criticized for bringing these irregularities to light, but your own party precinct chairs are doing this to you. You have your wholehearted faith in them that what they're doing, what they're preaching is by the letter of the law. My big thing was, again, people were very critical of the former administration. Come full circle, they have become just that or even worse. That's my biggest problem. If you're going to do something for someone, make sure you do it for everyone across the board. In my mind, looking from the outside looking in, if I was a Democrat and I wanted money, the first place I would go is to the Cameron County Republican Party. And I would say, I need some money. Give me $400 for my campaign. Where do I apply? They set a precedence. Instead of actively looking for conservatives, looking for Republicans to run in these very races, they're giving money to the other side. That is my biggest problem. And whenever we are not informing the community, whenever we take a back seat, Roman, and say, no, well, it's fine. It's okay. Susan's battling it on her own. She's got it. No, you represent the party. You were entrusted to do things that will be in the best interest of your community, of your constituents. And what bigger responsibility do we have than informing them of the possibility of something that will ultimately affect them severely, their pocketbooks? They always say if you want to affect someone, the best way to go is their pocketbook. That is how you put a stranglehold on people. Because as we know, when you cut the funds, we can't move. We can't do anything. It affects our lives. We're going to have to adjust. So that's my issue. Maybe I'm being petty by wanting our elected leaders to be at the forefront. Why is it Roman and I? And again, I will do it with a smile on my face, ladies and gentlemen. I love doing what I do. You know, I wake up with a heart on. I really do. Because I wake up at 9 in the morning and inform the community on what's important in your daily life. You may hate me, but you know that I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you decide to do with that information is out of my hands. But at least you can respect me and say, at least he said it like how it is. That's what I want. So for elected leaders, Roman, to take a step back and say, that's not important. We have a Cavazos running in the city of Harlingen. She's not in the primary. Go figure it out. Really? These people are in a position where they can change lives, where they can impact people greatly. Don't you believe in the message that Cavazos out of Harlingen, what that woman is promoting? Don't you believe in that? Don't you want somebody with the same ideology as you, that represents similar values as you, to have a seat at the table of Harlingen, of the city of Harlingen? We all know the answer is yes, right? Why aren't we doing something about it? Lorraine, Harlingen CISD, nothing. Really? It bothers me, ladies and gentlemen, because if I had that position, I would be like a madman, fucking throwing fucking every day with the backing of a party, with the army that is the precinct chairs that will. I don't know them very well, but I would dare say that they would go out on a limb for these people, that they would go and fight, that they would go and give face. At the end of the day, that's what I expect precinct chairs to do, to be vocal, to fight for their constituents, to be vocal about their beliefs and their values. It's like a Christian. Look, say what you want about the Los Pentecostés, the Pentecostals. They're always knocking on doors and everybody criticizes them. But you know what? They're doing something about it. They believe wholeheartedly in their religion, and they want to talk to you about it because it's right here. They just want to tell you because they believe in it, and they want you to believe in it. That's what I want. I want people that are zealous of their beliefs. If you're a conservative, if you're a Republican, go preach the good news to the people. Go talk to them. Go change people's lives. I don't know. Maybe I'm being petty, but that's just me. I don't know.
Well, I want to be very clear. I think what Susan is doing is excellent. I think that what she is doing with the course of the bond is what we need. I just want more. Not from her, because she's like me. Neither one of us are part of the party. The official little, we don't have we hold no titles within the party. Are we Republicans? Yes. Whereas we are Republican, like Frankie's a Republican, but we have no role in the party. What we want is the Republican Party to be out there and telling people to vote against the bond, just like they had yard signs against the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have yard signs against this bond? No, not that I've seen. I mean, maybe because they don't have a lot of money right now. Maybe they're concerned about not having money for the next year, that they don't want to spend money. But you don't think there are out there people that would like to donate to the party if they're going to go against this bond? Don't they want to join? Maybe it's because Deborah, as county chair, doesn't want to get involved with people like me or you, Frankie, because we're bad people. We're not Republican enough. But we can all join forces together, all of us, on a common good, on a common cause. I mean, that's what we do. Even after primaries, we're supposed to anyway. After a primary, we're supposed to unite behind whoever the nominee is. We fight it out in the primary. Democrats do the same thing. Republican, Democrat, they do the same thing in the primary. And then they come together, unite afterwards. I mean, the Democrats themselves are going to have a huge dilemma right now when it comes to who they're going to support for U.S. Senate. You have Colin Allred, who's polling better than Tallarico, and even though Tallarico has more money, and then supposedly some people are arguing, thinking that maybe Jay Crockett, the congresswoman from the Houston area, is going to come out and vote for Senate. Oh, that's going to make the U.S. Senate race and Democrat side even more hilarious. I mean, you have Gina, Hossa tomorrow in Brownsville going to announce that she's running for governor. Oh, did I burst everybody's bubble? Did the people not know that that's what the special announcement is tomorrow? That she's announcing she's running for governor? Ooh, oh, is the cat out of the bag? Like, did I let it out? What? I mean, we all in the political world, you know what she's going to announce tomorrow. And don't think for a second that that's going to stop Governor Abbott from spending millions and millions of dollars in the Rio Grande Valley to try to take it. And that way, next November, the Republicans take over the valley. Just because you nominate somebody that might be, from the Austin area, originally from Brownsville, but announcing in Brownsville doesn't mean anything. I mean, look what happened with Tony Sanchez when he ran for governor against Rick Perry. Got his butt beat badly. Wasn't even close. From Laredo. Millionaire. Whatever. I'm not worried about Gina Hidalgo. Gina Hidalgo. It's like the county judge over in Harris County who's not running for re-election. Dora the Explorer over there. Okay, so let's focus back a little bit on this bond. Nothing has. We need to stop this bond. We need to vote against this bond. The millions of dollars that are being spent are going to be spent on stuff that, yes, the district may or may not need. But like we had yesterday, Turi, I think, did a good job, and Bob did a good job of talking about why they oppose it. But let's reiterate. We don't know how many of these schools are going to get closed. They haven't told us. They have a declining enrollment. It's not going to get any better. This bond is not going to create, children out of thin air. It's not going to magically, oh my God, we're going to have in 9 months, we're going to have a bunch of new kids that are going to be born because of this bond. They haven't explained how they're going to tackle the declining enrollment. They haven't, they're misleading you and saying, hey, the bond is not going to raise taxes. It is. It's going to double your taxes. And they're banking on people thinking that, oh, the homestead exemption is somehow going to cause you to, you're not going to pay as much. But not everybody owns a home. The homestead exemption does not apply to businesses and how much they're going to be charging for services or food. If you go to a grocery store or it's clothes. I mean, all these things need to be taken into consideration when you go vote against this bond. But it is a tax increase. It's important that you know it's a tax increase. It'll say so on the ballot, it's a tax increase. It's a really, really big, ginormous bond. And even though the Republican Party isn't out there telling you to vote against this bond because they haven't had a vote or discussion or resolution on it, I know there are a lot of Republicans that are against this bond. I know that. And one of them is me, one of them is Frankie, and the other one is Susan Rubalcaba. We're against this bond. Listen to us. Listen to us on this issue. And not because it's a Republican Democrat thing, because we are common sense people telling you the truth. I'm not getting paid to oppose the bond. Frankie's not getting paid to oppose the bond. Susan is not getting paid to oppose the bond. Is not. Ask yourself, are the bloggers getting paid to support the bond? Are they? Ask them. Will they tell you the truth? And if they are getting paid, who's paying them? Are they getting a 12-pack beer or something to say that the bond is great? When they write an article, do they, hey, I wrote an article, give me a beer? I mean, I don't think they're going to Captain Bob and getting a plate of food. You have to ask yourself, what's in it for them? I'll tell you what's in it for me. I don't want to see our school district and our school people that pay taxes see their taxes double. I don't want to give in to, it's for the children. It's really not for the children. It's for the elected officials, the administration, so they can pat themselves in the back and say, look what we did. We got a $460 million and we fooled the people into believing it was a tax decrease when it was a tax increase. We can't give in to the teacher unions that are out there. I don't know what they get out of it. I really don't. You know, you had one best. I think you had the screenshot of it, Frankie, when they're saying this is not a tax. Taxes will go down. That's what Best said. Taxes will go down. It's not. It's not. It's gonna go up. And it's not right. It just isn't right, Frankie. It's not right that these people are gaslighting us and misinforming us, because this is their religion. I think in many respects, this education, these taxes, this is their religion. You talk about, Frankie, how you want people to go knocking on doors and preaching. And this is what they believe. If they are willing to write on their social media posts and say, well, actually, your taxes will go down, and then it's not. They're not going down. Maybe for the person that turned 65, maybe their taxes are going to go down. But Frankie, you're not anywhere near 65. Your taxes are not going to go down. I'm not anywhere. I'm still. I feel like I'm a young man, ish. My taxes. I'm not near 65, where our taxes will go down. Oh, you're going to tell me that our taxes are going to go down because of tax exemption? The homestead exemption. But that has nothing to do with the tax rate. That has nothing to do with the average amount of money that's that's in your own chart. Taxes are not going to go down. They're going to go up. And on top of that, the INS tax is 4 cents right now. It's 4 cents. With this thing, you're going to make it 28 cents. Last time I checked, 28. It's higher than 4. That doesn't go down. But these are our teachers. These are our educators. These are the ones that mold your child's brain. These are the people that you have entrusted to send your kid from kindergarten, pre-K, all the way to 12th grade. You trust them. How can you trust these educators, quote unquote educators, if they're willing to gaslight you on simple? 4 is it. I feel like I'm doing Animals Farm, or 1984 over here, where you're being told oh, you have to believe it. You finally believe this. You have to believe this, even though it's not true. And they warp your mind. Work your mind, and finally, oh, I see the light. You were right the whole time, like in 1984, or where you have the farm animals, and Animal Farm, where they were saying 4 legs good, 2 legs bad. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, and then all of a sudden they're the other way around. No. Well, actually, 2 legs are good, 4 legs bad. Ugh. That's what's happening with these people. They're trying to tell you that somehow 28-cent tax is somehow going lower than 4 cents. Blows my mind. But these are the people that we trust, right? And granted, it's not every single school union. I don't see AOB going crazy over, in favor or against this bond. I'm just saying, at least that this case is best through their social media posts telling you, well, actually, your taxes are going to go down. They're not. And then they gaslight Nelda. But with Nelda, where they're practically ashamed of her. That's how I took it anyway. You're a retired educator. You should know better. Well, shouldn't you know better that 28 cents is higher than 4 cents?
Yeah, our parties need to do a better job. And I was just thinking right now while you were talking, why isn't Jared Hawkema getting involved? Again, we have seen him in his personal capacity, not with the party, how he has encouraged, endorsed either candidates or probably even propositions in previous years. Is this to where something he himself wholeheartedly does not believe in this initiative, that he realizes that there is an economic strain that we are going through. Unfortunately, we don't have a thriving economy. We're not Houston, we're not Dallas, that we can possibly sustain this property tax increase for our community. Maybe he realizes that, and he just doesn't want to muddy the waters, because you have someone such as the BISD board president, who is a Democrat, and maybe it's not in the best interest to be at odds with individuals such as her. I don't understand, because to me,
Mm.
I would make the argument that this is more important than electing people in the city. That to me is kind of mind blowing, because when you talk about, and yesterday our guest did stress this, or maybe I'm just making things up, but who's really gonna benefit from this? Is it the community? Is the community gonna benefit from paying more taxes? If you ask the average Joe, do you want to pay more taxes and help BISD give them this bailout? They're gonna say, hell no. I would dare say 8, 9 out of 10 people would dare say that. You have those educators, those who are educated, those that have resources. But even then, the rich people that I know, they're very modest. I'm very thankful to associate myself, speak with people, influential people that have resources, and to me, they're very humble. But one thing that I've noticed is they're very codos.
Hmm.
They're very penny pinchers. And look, no disrespect. I wish I was like that. But they come down to nickels and dimes and cents, and hey, no. I'm owed this. And many people attribute that that's the reason why they've been so successful, because of their business deals, the way they think, the way they operate. Rich people, they have more businesses, they have more properties, they have more skin in the game. They're not in support of this. Why? Because nobody wants to pay more. Now, do you have people that just possibly they don't see the big, sure, I'll pay a couple thousand more of what I was paying, sure, why not? But for the most part, the people that I've talked to, the people that, because I like to read the room, or try my best to, I always say, look guys, am I reading this wrong? Am I blinded by this, that I can't see what's really happening? The majority of the people that I've talked to, and I pick their brain, I say, hey, what do you hear from the community? Do you think that this has a possibility of passing? They say, hell no. Who wants to pay more taxes? Who wants to foot the bill for something that they themselves didn't even do? It's the BISD's mismanagement, is their mess up, that the reason why, a culmination of years of mismanagement, of not being physically responsible, of just eating high off the hog. That is the reason why we are the position in which we are. And we shouldn't think of this as of us needing to do this without getting proper information. Duty yesterday said, why don't we sell the schools? We have, let's say, 8 schools at a 16 million valuation, give or take, just lowballing it, using data that is recent. That's over $100 million just with those 8 schools.
Hmm.
That money could be used, Roman, for HVACs. That money could be used to fund certain projects of repairs throughout the different facilities and schools that the district is wanting. Why don't we do that? Why don't we start with that? But it seems as if this is rushed, Roman. This is, oh, you need to do it. 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 Whoa. Let's see other alternatives before we are indebted even more. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading the room wrong or something, but I just can't comprehend that something of great importance isn't at the forefront of the topics of discussion.
Yeah. Well, hopefully people will know before your vote, just like you said. That's the title of the show. Know before you vote. Know as much as information as you can, and get it out. But once you get that information, and I think we've simplified it for you all. I think we've done simplification. It's a massive tax increase. This is what the sample ballot's going to look like. We've done all that for you. It's just your job to convince other people to go vote that way and say, oh, well, I said BISD is out of control. And it's funny, you say BISD is out of control. That PAC out there is saying take control of BISD. Are they leaning into the narrative that BISD is out of control and we want to take control and make sure that it's not out of control anymore? Is that what they're trying? Is that their little game?
Roman, is besides the BISD, and we'll go over the sample ballot for BISD. Is there any other proposition that stands out to you that you've come across is there something out there?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. We can go over them. Maybe do a whole show just on that, on some of them,
Okay.
if we wanted to. I mean, one of the people in our party, our SREC, State Republican Committee woman, Janera Lewis, I think she's a alderman in Bayview. She gave a presentation about the bonds to one of the clubs, and one of the things she pointed out is, and I think she's right, is that anytime you see the word fund in these constitutional amendments, run away. Don't vote for that, because that's money, a fund. And whether they all feel good, like there's this one that is about, having Alzheimer's research fund. And it's like, why are we doing that in the Constitution of the state of Texas? If we want to fund these things, why aren't we doing legislation on it? Why aren't we voting on it? Why are we ingraining it into our Constitution? Because that's what these amendments are. These are like adding amendments to the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Constitution has 27 amendments. We're voting on 16 amendments to the Texas state Constitution. I mean, really, just think about it. We're doing over a third amendments to our state constitution. We do this every year. It seems like we have constitutional amendments. That's why our constitution is so darn huge. And maybe we need to pare it down a little bit, make it a little bit smaller, not as thick as a phone book. But she's right. Janera Lewis, our SREC, is right. We have all these things, so we can talk about some of these amendments. Like one of them is about the $140,000 homestead exemption. There's even one that does a freeze on the freeze on appraisals, I think it is, for spouses of veterans. I mean, Janera seems to be against it. I'm in favor of it. I don't have a problem with giving spouses of veterans a tax break. I don't. But anyway, but yeah, so this is what it's going to look like. Proposition A is going to literally say this is a property tax increase. And I'm hoping that even people who have renters realize that this is a rent increase as well, because they might, I don't own property, so I'm not, it doesn't affect me. Yeah, it affects you guys. All right, and and then the other one, Proposition B, will also say the same thing, right? It'll say this is a property tax increase. That's Proposition A, and it'll say it in Spanish. And Proposition B, it says this is a property tax increase. And hopefully people realize $75 million is a lot. Look what it says. Is it for the purpose of designing? What else does it say? I haven't really, I've read it, but I haven't read it out loud. It'll be a $75 million Brownsville ISD school building bonds for the purposes of designing, constructing, renovating, improving, upgrading, updating, acquiring, and equipping a new performing arts facility, and the levying of a tax sufficient to pay the principal of and interest of the bonds and the cost of any credit agreements. It's interesting. It talks about the principal, which is a $75 million bond, but it doesn't tell you how much the interest is. on that. And they're going to have to levy a tax to pay off that interest as well. That is, I believe, the 4 cents part of the 28 cents. And I agree with you, Joel. The BISD is very much top heavy. So please, guys, there's a tax increase. Vote against it. I think early voting starts on Monday, right, Frankie?
Correct. The 20th.
Yep. And that's where the voting is really going to take place, guys. That's where a lot of people are going to vote. You're going to have 2 weeks to text people and tell people to vote against it. 2 weeks, no excuses. Go vote. Anyway, if we would be remiss if we didn't, remind people that today is Charlie Kirk's birthday. Right, and Charlie Kirk is going to receive posthumously receive the Medal of Freedom from President Trump today. Man, that guy is busy. He went to Israel and Gaza I know not Gaza, but he went to Israel and Egypt yesterday. He flew all the way halfway across the world and flew back last night. Got home around 11:30 our time, 12:30 over in DC, and he's gonna wake up early in the morning and get busy, get to work, and he's going to greet the president of Argentina today in about a couple hours, an hour or so in the White House. Man. He's 80 years old? Dude, Frankie, how old is he? 78, 79?
78, I believe.
Yeah. Nearly 80 years old. He has a lot of energy. And he's the president of the United States. Wow. Anyway.
Any last words, Roman?
No, just go vote. When it's time to go vote, we'll continue to talk about the bond. We'll continue to do all that stuff because we need to, bring up stuff. And maybe tomorrow we'll talk about some of these school board members and why they're being so quiet about the bond. Maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe we'll have people will get mad at us and start screaming and yelling and writing about us and how we're bad people, and then we'll have to respond to them, and we'll just have to do it back and forth, which we really don't want to do it back and forth. I'm not interested in back and forth. I'm not. I'm interested in everybody uniting against this bond and stopping this mean bond for the next 3 weeks. And maybe the Republican Party will have a meeting and actually have an agenda item where they actually vote against the bond. Again, if anything we accomplished today, hopefully we accomplished that, right, Frankie?
Again, know before you vote. Political parties do have a crucial and vital role in ensuring that the voters are well informed about important propositions, especially such as the potential tax increase that is on the ballot. I feel as if the local parties have not done so in a election that will change the livelihoods of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. They are silent. While they remain silent, ladies and gentlemen, we'll come on before you Monday through Friday at 9 a.m., sometimes a little bit after. So we ask that you subscribe to our YouTube channel titled Frankie Olivo TV. Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you go out and eat tacos. My name is Frankie. This is Roman. Peace.